You had to actually go to the campus and do an audition, but long story short, I got rejected from the music school.
Father, thank you for this day. Help us to do things to please you and not man. Help us to have comfort in you during this podcast and not be nervous and just say what you've taught us for your glory. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Okay, so today we've brought my sister. An unfortunate turn of events has led us here.
It is what it is.
No, I'm just kidding. She's my sister who's 4 years older than me. She's in college. She's going to be a junior at Baylor.
Yep.
That's my description of you. How would you describe yourself if you were on an elevator? You have 30 seconds to describe yourself.
I mean, everything that you said, but then also just that I'm 20. I'm obviously Max's older sister. I study speech pathology at Baylor, and a little biased, but best college ever. And yeah, I mean, can't say enough about the school.
Okay, very nice description. I would give it a 7.
7 is good.
Thanks.
Okay.
7 is good.
So you have a real passion for music, I would say. You help me a lot with different music projects. I recently started playing the guitar a little bit like a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
But you've been playing the guitar for about 5 years. You've been playing piano for maybe 13, 14 years. Describe your music background a little bit and kind of where that led you.
Yeah, so I mean, I started piano lessons at 4, and that prolonged until pretty much senior year of high school. And after that, I mean, I always loved like playing the piano for fun, but when it came to actually like waking up early and going to piano lessons, that was always kind of like a drag. I was just like, oh, I don't want to be taught how to play the piano. But I always loved, just kind of free ranging, doing whatever. And then I just kind of picked up guitar, I think I was 7th or 8th grade. And I basically learned from just like guitar tabs and YouTube. So I guess kind of self-taught. And then through that, I was able to kind of serve in the worship team at church. And at first we had a different praise leader. And so I would just be able to kind of, help out just like every, I don't know, maybe month or so. And that was always super fun. But my heart wasn't always in the right reasons it was more of just like a performing heart posture rather than, oh, no, this is for God. This is all for the glory of God. But yeah, anyway, I knew music was a huge passion of mine, and it was actually something that I think carried across with a bunch of the teachers at TCS too. And
You mean like lots of teachers at your high school knew that you liked music?
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, Miss Patrick at TCS, she was probably one of my favorite teachers. Notice I said one of them, not the favorite, because, I had a lot of favorites. But yeah, she basically just recommended me to go to this worship camp at Baylor University, which was my summer going into freshman year, I think, or summer after freshman year. And that was super fun because I got to worship with a bunch of other people who also, loved God. And
That's always good when you're like in a community like that. It really does help.
yeah. And so that was really great. And that's kind of when I fell in love with Baylor as a campus. And that was always really cool. And so then that kind of led into a church music major.
Okay, so there's this major called church music at Baylor, which was kind of what she was interested in, but then you tried to apply for the major. You got into Baylor, and then you tried to apply for the major, and what happened?
Yeah, so the music school application was almost like a whole another application. But basically you had to just fill out all these forms, basically just like full-on resume type thing. And then you had to actually go to the campus and do an audition, like in front of judges and just like a panel of judges, and like they're just judging your singing. So pretty intense. But long story short, I got rejected from the music school. So that was definitely difficult, as at the time I felt like music was the only thing I was good at. And so that definitely, caused a lot of, lack in, my trust in God at the time. And so that was obviously, kind of a dark time, honestly. But, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I ended up changing eventually.
Yeah. Well, like, what were you feeling like when you changed your major? Like, what was the thought process behind picking a new major, and like were you okay with that, or were you still sort of like bummed out that like you didn't get the major you wanted?
Yeah, so I mean, it was definitely hard. As like, I mentioned, that's literally what I felt was the only thing God had, you know, given me talent for, I guess. But I was able to kind of like talk with my parents about it, and especially my mom. She was really helpful in that area, where she was like, music's not the only good thing you're good at. Like, you love kids and you have a heart for kids. A lot of people don't have the patience with kids, and so that was always something that I've, enjoyed, just hanging out with kids, just watching them grow. That's always just been so cool. But yeah, it was definitely dark, but the actual change for the major happened literally within like maybe a day or so, where it's cool with Baylor because you can just search up all the majors and it's super easy to choose. You just kind of choose one and then you email the advisor or whatever, and then they're like, okay, we'll change it on your like, dashboard or whatever, like your history. And so I ended up coming across speech pathology. Well, the actual major is called communication sciences and disorders. So that's just all the language disorder fields. So that could be like, people that, need to see audiologists or speech pathologists or speech therapists or just any kind of behavioral therapist. And that was always, or that was just always so cool. Whenever I read about it, I was like, that sounds like such a humbling job to like, see kids, that obviously need help with speaking. My mom, she kind of encouraged me because she's like, you don't have to totally ditch the whole music area. You could implement music as almost a therapy for those kids, because music is kind of like a quote-unquote language that everyone can understand. And so I was definitely humbled by that, and ever since it's been smooth sailing.
So you said the key reason why you liked speech pathology or speech therapy, besides just, I guess, the science behind it, is that you get to be with kids, right? And
Right.
kind of get to help kids.
Yep.
Is there a particular reason why you like helping kids, or where you get patience for dealing with kids that have disabilities?
I mean, we have like, a lot of family friends who have, who have children who have some kind of disability, but which obviously I see that they're not quote unquote normal, but for me, like, kids are kids, like, regardless of their disabilities. And so I don't know, I just love being around kids. I think also just watching them grow is almost, it's like so cute. It's like so cool because, they start off like maybe as a baby, or they start off as a toddler, and then like years go by, and then they go to like middle school and high school, and like, I don't know. It's pretty cool.
So you just think it's cool to watch people grow up?
Yeah, I do.
Do you think it has something to do with like Imago Dei, like that everybody's made in the image of God, that's a
Yeah.
human, so you care for that? Or where do you think your understanding of everybody's values coming from?
Well, obviously, everybody is made in the image of God, and, God, regardless of your disabilities or speech disabilities, we're all equal in God's eyes.
Do you want to describe freshman year and what your advice for kids that are going into freshman year?
Or like dealing with like, because I mean, it's freshman year, obviously it's stressful. I guess like dealing with that stress of college for the first year or that
Yes.
change.
So for me, the transition was kind of abrupt almost in a way because I was at TCS since I was in second grade. And so that was like, what?
A lot of years.
A
10
lot of
years.
years. A lot of years. Math's not my strong suit. But yeah,
It's not mine either.
very long time. And also at the same time, I was at the same church since I was like, I don't know, 4-ish also.
Many years.
Yeah, so also I was just, in the same 2 environments for so long in my life. And so going to college, it was, a big independent moment where I kind of had to find, I guess new friends, and I was in a new school. I had to find a new church. And so, yeah, especially finding a new church was a big one because, there's so many great churches in Waco, actually, but I did a lot of church hopping for a while, and then...
Was there not a church like on campus at Baylor?
No, they have a lot of, like, student org things and, like, bunch of clubs that you can be a part of, but I don't think... there's actually a bunch of, like, chapels, actually,
Okay. But that's different. Yeah.
It's different. Because, like, for chapel, sometimes, they'll go... Actually, I've never been to chapel in person because freshman year I was just watching it online. So, but
So do you have any advice for freshmen?
yeah, I would say don't be afraid to say yes to things. I feel like I kind of had my guard up when it came to that. I was kind of just, like, I'm not really, that close with that person, so I don't really want to hang out with them for this many hours. But sophomore year, I definitely committed to a lot more things, and I definitely saw the fruits in that of, building closer relationships and strengthening those friendships that I thought weren't going to ever happen freshman year. And so, yeah, definitely saying yes to things. And then also, I just remember going into freshman year because, at least for me, I didn't have any interest in anybody at TCS. And so going into freshman year of college, I kind of had my eyes open. I was kind of browsing, and yeah, if I'm going to be honest. So, I was browsing, and, I was kind of disappointed, not going to lie. But, everyone has their own, opinions. But at least for me, I was a little disappointed. But so then after that, it was more of a humbling experience sophomore year because I was kind of just like, it's okay, if I don't find someone freshman year. So I would encourage, I guess, other incoming freshmen that, if you don't find somebody freshman year, like, it's not the end of the world.
You got 3 more years there.
Yeah, you have many more years of college. And so, but yeah, also I think if you were in a relationship going into freshman year, I think that's also just more baggage in a way because you're already, navigating your own way through, going to classes and making your own schedule, making new friends, finding a new church, and building these new friendships and relationships, and then adding a whole relationship to that. I feel like that's just a lot. And so I feel like God's taught me a lot through that.
So if someone was, let's say Max like had a girlfriend as he was going into freshman year, would you recommend Max to maybe like put that on pause and just deal with freshman year on its own, and then like let's say sophomore year, once you have everything figured out, like maybe start the relationship back up? Or do you think like throughout all of college maybe just focus?
I think if at least in my opinion, wait at least the first semester freshman year, because
Okay.
I feel like that's the most vulnerable you are, just because like literally everything's new. Because I know at least at Baylor, the Baylor culture is like, everybody's dating and everybody's usually engaged before even graduating, like after senior year.
Wow.
And so I mean, I just know relationships and, everything's very big at Baylor. So, but, for Max's case, I think, I mean, even if he did get a girlfriend freshman year, I don't think I would be like, hey, you got to kick her off the curb. Like, no, there's no hope with this. But I would just encourage, maybe wait until next semester when you've got things a little more figured out.
Okay.
But
That's reasonable.
yeah.
Do you have any advice for people picking their major as somebody who's switched majors before?
I mean, I think a lot of, I guess, teens have, almost maybe a fear of like actually being raw and vulnerable with your parents. I feel like that can be intimidating for a lot of teenagers. And so I think don't be afraid to, have those deep conversations with your parents. Because if you think about it, like your parents were teenagers at one point too, and they've gone through a lot of things too.
So you're saying to pick your major, talk to your parents?
No, I mean, like talking to your parents can be a good thing. Because like in my case,
Oh, I see.
It could help you steer towards which major might be best for you. Is that?
Yeah, that
a
makes
thing?
sense. Yeah. I think that's pretty good advice.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, like the major, like I don't know if I've said this before, but like I want to do film in college, and I didn't always want to do film in college. Like I was talking to my dad, and he sort of brought up the idea because I've always been into movies, and now researching into like all the majors and what different colleges offer for that. It's definitely the way I want to go. So I absolutely agree. Like talking to a parent does help significantly in choosing what you want to do.
yep.
We've got our ginger lemon shot. It's very good.
So Max, obviously you were probably, I assume y'all were close before you left to college, or at least had a good relationship with each other, maybe.
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, how were you affected in any way by your sister leaving for college and knowing that you might not see her for a little while?
All right. So, as you would imagine, my sister's senior year, lots of people were like, hey, Max, are you going to miss your sister when she leaves? Or are you sad your sister's leaving? Or what are you going to do when your sister leaves? You
Yes,
know what
of
my
course.
answer was? Probably 20 people, 50 people asked me that question.
And what was your answer?
Or pretend you're that person.
Your sister's leaving. How do you feel?
I'm glad she's leaving.
Okay.
I'm not even kidding.
Not what I was expecting.
That was my answer.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, I feel like I knew about this before, but the way you just came across in that way, it's honestly kind of hurtful.
Yeah, I'd be hurt.
Yeah.
If my little sister said that, I'd be hurt.
So I would say, how was I affected that my sister left? I guess I was just kind of I had no perspective in terms of, I'd never lived life where my sister wasn't there.
Yeah.
So maybe
okay.
I took things for granted.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of I was ready to not kind of have somebody always around bugging me.
Yeah.
So once she left, it was a little bit quiet. A little bit too quiet.
Yeah, because it's just you and your parents.
Yeah, so it was a little bit strange. And then I guess I started to... It took me 8 months to finally admit that I kind of missed her.
8 months?
It took me a long time.
That's a long
My
time.
gosh, yeah,
Man,
that's
I
a
had
while.
an ego.
Yeah,
that
that's
could not
a
be
while.
broken.
I thought you were gonna be maybe a month after.
No, long time.
I don't know.
I didn't even know this.
Yeah.
So the first time I saw her again, I was like, cool. But then eventually I started to kind of get sad whenever she would come and then leave again.
Yeah, 8 months later.
Yeah. It actually
That's when you got sad.
Yeah, I guess.
No, I know.
It was also a progression of me maturing.
Yeah, I
with a
get
bunch
what
of
you
other
mean.
things. I think there's something different in terms of relationship. Well, your relationship with your sibling is very different from your relationship with your parents.
Oh yeah,
You can talk about different things, and I guess I started to realize those things. But I started talking to my sister a lot more after she went to college, for sure. Talking about different things. I don't know. We argued less after she
I would
left.
assume.
We used to
Oh,
argue
yeah.
all the time, bro. Whenever
it would
we'd
be
get
like every day. Like no day would pass by where we wouldn't argue about something like small.
and
Yeah.
like I was really like a hypocrite policeman.
You didn't like when people were hypocrites?
Yeah, so you know what I do? Whenever we got into arguments, I would like pull out my phone
would
and it'd be like
record
in my
me.
pocket.
Yeah.
And I turn on the voice memos and like she'd say something mean to me.
Yeah.
And then or like something I don't know, she'd say something and then 20 minutes later she'd contradict that. And then
Yeah.
I'd pull out my phone
That
and
seems.
go look.
That definitely seems like something you would do. That's like,
I'd scroll back and be like, "You said this," and then I had evidence to my mom.
Yeah.
I have all this. You know how like whenever you get into a car accident, you like try to
Yeah.
get them to admit.
that was their fault.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I had it down to a system, but what I realized it didn't really solve anything.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of proving her as the loser didn't make her feel good, and then it didn't like she wasn't like happy. She wasn't like, "Oh, you're right."
Yeah.
She's just more angry. So I would say over time, I started to appreciate her. I would say like every time she's at home for too long, then we start to like butt heads a little bit. But whenever she goes away and then I see her again for like a week, I think those are pretty good weeks.
Pretty fresh.
Pretty fresh.
Okay.
Which I would say is the case for most relationships, right? If you see
Yeah.
a friend every single day, you get kind of annoyed with them.
Yeah.
You
Like
just-
right now, I'm just. I don't want to.
We have filmed too many podcasts this week.
I'm chill right now.
Yeah. How? Let's switch gears a little bit.
Huh?
How would you describe your relationship between your younger sister versus your relationship with your older sister? Because it's kind of different, right?
Yeah. Okay. So for both my older sisters, for my oldest sister, I mean, she went to college when I was really young, so I didn't, I don't remember much time with her when I was like a baby or when I was like 1 or 2. I mostly started getting close to her when maybe I got into middle school, right before she was going to move to California because she's in California now. So like she was going to be gone. So then that's when we started getting close, and we never argued or disagreed about anything. She was really like, because she was a lot older than me, so she was like a big sister to me in the sense of like she would guide me on things to do and whatnot. So there was no room for argument really. And for my other sister, Brett, the comedian in Austin, her and I, we have always had like the best relationship ever. We get along all the time. Sometimes I go visit her in Austin. I'll like spend the weekend with her. My relationship with her is just fun, like constant fun. We have a blast. But my little sister is very different. Because I live with my little sister, right? Like I said, my oldest sister left when I was young, and Brett, which is my second oldest sister, she left when I was also young, but I was 6 or 7 when she left. So I didn't live with them like my whole life, probably, or for most of my life, probably like y'all did. So my little sister, though, I have lived with her for all her life and most of my life. So that is stressful because she is like, she's really out there. She will tell you what's on her mind, and she doesn't like when you tell her anything. Like I'll try to like give her some social tips based on what I've seen, and she'll just shut you out and like just like roast me for like no reason. Like I'm just trying to help.
Shane, you know nothing.
Yeah, she knows me because I mean she's my sister, so she like goes for like my skin, dude. She goes for it. Sometimes it's like I don't want it to affect me. I don't want to show that it affects me, but sometimes it's like, okay.
Yeah, I see how it is.
You just did that, okay? And I try to be the bigger man and like let it slide, but bigger brother, bigger sibling. But sometimes I will sort of retaliate, and then it gets like a kind of like y'all, just a constant back and forth of like the stupidest thing.
So you can very much see the difference between living with the sibling
And just seeing the
them
sibling.
every so often.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a massive difference. Yeah.
So what was it like for you going off to college and not being with family anymore?
Honestly, that first night in the dorm was like a pity party. Like me and my roommate that evening, we both like went like turned the lights off and everything super early. We were like, oh, good night, and like we turned the lights off. We're both in our bed, and I just started bawling.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm just crying. And then I just kind of, like, at one point, I don't know, probably like 30 minutes go by.
Yeah.
And then I kind of got quiet, and I could hear her, like, sniffling, like, under her blankets, too. So I was like, oh, my gosh, this is hilarious. I mean, not at the time, but, like, looking back on it, it's pretty funny. And so I just remember the next morning, you know, like, she went to her 8 a.m. class. I went to my 8 a.m. class. And then I was like, you know, last night, like, it really sucked. And then she's like, yeah, I was crying. I was like, you know, playing it dumb almost. I was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Like, oh, man. But yeah, we both, like, sobbed our first night. And in a way, I feel like that was almost a bonding moment for me without telling her.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was definitely really close with her family, too. And you could see that.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I will not be sad at all when I'm in college. I mean, cause I'm a counselor, right? So I'm gone for like weeks on end, and I don't like I think of them, but I am enjoying myself. Like, I am having fun. Cause I like being independent, like doing my own thing. So in college, maybe like after freshman year, like a year goes by, I'll be like, dang, like I wish I was back home. But like when I get there, I think I'm gonna be chilling. I think it's gonna be smooth
Shane,
sailing
you'll be
emotionally.
crying.
No, I won't.
You will be
I
crying
know
in
for
your
a
pillow.
fact. For a fact, I will. Maybe
I'm
I
gonna
might think back. You could come visit
Shane,
me.
I will move you in,
Okay.
and then while I'm moving you in, I'm gonna sneak a little GoPro.
Okay, you can record me. I'll let it happen. No, but I think emotionally I'll be pretty chill, pretty smooth sailing when I first go to college.
I could see that.
What about you? How do you think you're gonna feel?
I think I'll be very good the first week,
Mm-hmm.
and from there it's free game.
Free game. You don't know what's gonna happen from there.
I think as long as I'm doing, I don't know. If I have a roommate, I can't imagine me being too sad because there's always going to be somebody around.
Braxton and I might go to the same college, so I might be with Braxton.
Is that the he wants
UT
to go to
Arlington? Yeah.
Why does he want to go to UT Arlington?
High acceptance rate. Getting a scholarship isn't too hard, and it's actually a pretty good school.
Huh. So there's no specific major
that he wants to do. I have no idea. For the film major there is really interesting. So that's part of the reason why I want to go there as well.
How far is Arlington from like Austin?
Probably like, you know,
hour and a half.
Somewhere.
I
Do
don't
you
really
know where Arlington is?
Not exactly. It's in Texas.
Okay. Hopefully Arlington is relatively.
It's close to Austin. I'll say that.
Ooh.
I know that.
If I go to UT, then we can still film.
We
pods.
could still film. It could still work. Do you want to go to UT? They offer like no financial aid. Like I want to go to UT too, but like they're not going to give me anything.
UTA.
UTA.
I'd rather. I'm UT, Rice.
Rice is
Maybe
good.
Baylor, but
Yeah.
I'd rather.
Does Baylor? I know some colleges, or at least for like high schools for sure. Like if the older sibling goes there, the younger sibling has a higher chance of getting in.
Yeah,
Does that apply for colleges as well?
Yes.
So you probably have a good chance of getting into Baylor then,
I have a better chance.
than most. Maybe you should go there.
We'll see.
It's easy.
Well, at least it doesn't hurt to apply.
Yeah.
You could
But
at least
each
apply.
application takes away 20 to 100 hours of my life.
Wait, seriously?
I,
How long does an application take?
I think it depends on
Just
the school. Because
quickly.
at least for me, Baylor was the only school I applied to.
Well, how long
Oh
did your
my gosh.
application take?
I don't know, days. Because I didn't do it like consecutively.
Really?
I
thought it
broke
takes
it
like
apart.
tons of hours.
No.
But then the music application, I guess, in a way, was a whole nother application.
So how long did the Baylor application take?
Honestly, it's kind of fuzzy, but I'm pretty sure it was like, you know, multiple days. 'Cause
Well,
I didn't-
like 3 days or 5 days?
Are we talking like a week?
honestly, I don't even remember.
I just want to know because I still want to do stuff.
Yeah,
like,
because
next
I
summer,
thought
but I don't
college
wanna-
applications would take the whole summer.
Oh no, that's what my mom said as well. Then I talked to my dad about it, and he's like, "No, like
What?
if you're on it at the start, like right when you can apply, you can be done by like midsummer, applying.
I had no idea.
It's mostly the essays. The college essays might
yeah,
take
it's
a while,
the essays that take a long.
but the actual applying, that's it's like applying.
Did you pre-write your essays before you applied?
Oh, that's smart.
No.
Well, actually, you can't because they give you the prompts
Oh.
afterwards. Okay, so you only applied to one college. Why'd you do that?
Well, I mean, Baylor's the only one I really wanted to go to because I knew I wanted to go to a Christian school, but then also
Baylor-
at least
Baylor's
at the
Christian?
time,
Baylor is Baptist.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But then at least at the time I wanted to do church music, and then there wasn't any other school here that did church music, but it
Well-
all ended up being a blessing anyway.
I think that ended up pretty good.
Pretty solid, good flowing pop.
Kind of turned it up at the end.
Yeah. Second half skyrocketed.
Well, we have a tradition of shaking hands at the end of the podcast, so thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, Max.